Hey y'all, Erin here. I just wanted to quickly film my February wrap-up. What's you can't see just off frame is my dog staring at me, needing attention, so hopefully I will only be a little bit distracted. I actually tried to film this yesterday and she was a total pest the entire time and I couldn't make it all the way through it. So we'll see if today goes better. I'm really excited because I am wearing my Ravenclaw sweatshirt and I got a new pin and it says, "I stand with Harry Potter, not J.K. Rowling." I have been kind of reluctant to wear this sweatshirt for a while, even though it's my favorite, because I didn't want anyone to think that I agreed with the icky turfy things that she says on Twitter. So, yay, new pin. So when I left off in my last video, I was about a third of the way through Trouble the Saints by Alaya Johnson. And 1/3 of the way through, I was loving that book. It's everything that I usually really look for in a book, specifically look for. A world that is almost identical to the one that we all live in and we'd all recognize it, except that magic is real and exists. It does not bother to explain in excruciating detail what its magic system is. It kind of just throws you in and lets you figure it out for yourself, which is something that I really like. I'm okay with detailed explanations too, but sometimes they can get really tedious and they don't always feel necessary. So in this case, I really liked the fact that they were like, people have the hands. Only people of color have these magical powers and they are gifted to the oppressed by their ancestors. And I thought that was really cool. It makes it really significant that our main character is white passing in the book, because she kind of gets called out later as like, white people don't have these powers, and we've actually all just been going along with it this whole time, because it does take place right on the eve of World War II. So of course, segregation in the United States is in full force. So it matters, even though the book takes place in New York, that all of our main characters are people of color. We've got 2 Black women and an Indian man. Indian from India. So the book is broken into 3 parts, and each part is told from a different person's perspective. So the first third of the book, the main character goes by P, and she was definitely my favorite. So I was reading the first part and really, really liking it. The second part of the book is told from her lover's perspective, and I didn't like him as much. She was like, I have the power to control knives and I kill people that do bad things. And he was much more moralistic, black and white in his thinking of all killing is bad no matter what. This can't be justified. So we kind of open with them arguing about it, and I was less interested in his perspective. It just didn't work for me as well. And then the third portion of the book is actually told from the point of view of his ex-lover and P's best friend. And hers just didn't do it for me at all. Really was a slog at the end there. It gets good again in the last couple of chapters, so I was very glad that I made it all the way to the end. I even liked it enough that I might reread it in the future. I still gave it 5 stars on Goodreads because Goodreads doesn't let me do half stars. I'd probably go for 4.5 stars because I did think it was really well written. I loved the magic system. I loved the story that was told and the setting, and all of that was absolutely fantastic. I really just I can't even remember her name. She was not that entertaining to me. And I can't really say more than that without spoilers, which I don't want to do, so I'm just gonna leave it there. I would still highly recommend the book. If you are a reader who likes a cohesive plot line, though, this may not be the story for you. I'm totally okay with books that start nowhere and end nowhere. and you know, we just sort of did some loop-de-loops in the middle. That's cool with me. My absolute all-time favorite books, none of them have really strong plot lines. But if you're a plot line reader, you're gonna find this one kind of irritating. Yes, and according to my notebook, that's all I had to say about that one. So this next book I read after that was The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Oh man, that book was intense. It took me like 2 days to read the whole thing, and it's not short. And I really liked it. And I finished it at like 10 o'clock at night, and it took everything in me to not immediately start reading the second one because my bedtime's like 8:30. And by the time I woke up the next morning, I was like, I should really read the other books that I have on hold from the library because I have to give them back soon and other people are waiting, instead of just finishing the whole trilogy. It is a trilogy. All 3 books are out. I am reading the second one right now, and I think I'm gonna wait until I finish all 3 of them, and then I'll just do a video just talking about the 3 of them because, whoa, that book was intense. Feeling the feelings with that one. I mean, what's not to love? It's martial arts and magic. Sold. So I will circle back to Poppy Wars when I've finished all 3. So after I finished Poppy War, I read The Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. And I really, oh my God, that book was so cute. It was so cute for a murder mystery. It is a debut novel. It was not perfect, but I'd say has real potential, and that's an author that I'm going to keep an eye on, see what else they come up with. So that one, our main character is a trans boy, 16, right on that cusp. It is an own voice story too. And I just thought that it was really lovely, like right down to the details of what it feels like to wear a binder, and the awkwardness of giving hugs when you don't have your binder on, and like you can tell that this is a story that from someone's lived experience. Also loved that the book was kind of peppered with Spanish, and it did not bother to translate any of the Spanish. My very rudimentary Spanish was enough that I could kind of figure out from context. I recognized most of the words used, but definitely not all of them. You're not gonna need to have a Spanish to English dictionary next to you while you read the book. I think it just adds a really authentic feeling to the story because it is a bunch of Hispanic characters. It takes place a couple of days before Dia de Muertos. Muertos? Dia de Muertos? I had to give the book back to the library, so I can't look it up. And like I said, my Spanish is really rudimentary, and I was forever getting the gendered stuff wrong. Just not good at following gender rules, even in language. Yeah, so that was definitely a book I enjoyed, and I will read it again. I got a little concerned with the love story. I don't usually like which falls in love with ghost stories. The endings tend to be inherently unsatisfying. This one turned out okay. My dog is distracting me. Ignore her. Yeah, it got better. I did think that the murder mystery was very obvious. I figured out the solution maybe a quarter of the way into the book, but I was totally happy to be taken along on that ride. And frankly, I prefer being able to guess the end of a story. I don't read a lot of mysteries or horror stories, which ghost stories sometimes are and sometimes aren't. because I don't like being made anxious by a book. I have enough things in real life to make me anxious. Reading is not where I go to be anxious. So this one is a murder mystery and a ghost story, but it is definitely not horror. And the mystery is pretty obvious if you're paying even a little bit of attention. So no anxiety, just happy, cute. Oh my God, Aiden. It was so good. I'm gonna look for their books in the future. Yeah. And the last book that I finished in February was Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. This is my second book by Okorafor. I think that I'm just gonna read all of them now. I adore the way that she blends magic and witchcraft with sci-fi and aliens, and she does it in this way that feels really seamless and like it works. It doesn't feel like the two forces are fighting against each other or anything like that. So Remote Control is, I would call it a novella. It was very short. It did come out very recently. I put it on hold at the library as soon as I heard it was coming out, which I think was before it was actually out. And it took a while to get my hold, and there was a whole bunch of people in line behind me, but it did only take me a couple hours to read. So once you get it, it's a quick one. It follows the adopted daughter of death. I would say that it is fundamentally about myth making, and it's really hard to say much more than that without giving anything away, but it's good. I would highly recommend it, and it definitely convinced me to, between that and how much I liked Lagoon, this is a new potentially favorite author, and I'm just gonna have to look up everything else that they've written and read it all. In a way that's not at all obsessive or weird. Definitely not. It'll be a little obsessive. Because that's how I roll. So yeah, that is February. We are 4 days into March, and I've already finished another book, and I'm having to resist the urge to tell you about that. I will save it for my next video. And I hope that y'all are staying safe out there. I'm gonna go play with my dog now. I don't know if you can hear her whining. She's whining. So have a great day.